What if I told you that a single Washington quarter, a coin you may have spent on coffee or tossed into a parking meter, is now valued at $1.6 million? Not a gold bar, not a rare ancient artifact, but a simple 1998 D Mint Mark Washington quarter. Right now, somewhere in America, this coin is sitting unnoticed, inside a drawer, inside an old coffee can dot, or inside a forgotten coin collection passed down from a parent or grandparent. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people who own this coin never realized what they had until it was too late. Today's video is not entertainment. It is a wake-up call. Because if you are between 30 and 70 years old and you have ever saved coins, inherited coins, or even casually collected them, you may already be holding the key to a wealthy lifestyle. And no, this is not hype. That'll be why the end of this video. You will know exactly why the 1998 D Washington quarter has shocked the coin world, how to identify the ultra-rare versions, and how coins like this have changed ordinary lives forever. But first, let me ask you something. In 1998, the United States Mint struck millions of Washington quarters. Most were ordinary, most were spent, most are worth exactly 25 cents. But hidden among them was a microscopic fraction that would later become legendary. Collectors call it a perfect storm. A rare Denver Mint production anomaly. Extraordinary strike characteristics. Near flawless preservation. Coins like this were never meant to survive. They were meant to circulate, to be scratched, to be worn down, to be forgotten. And yet, a few escape time. Those survivors are the reason serious collectors and investors are willing to pay up to $1.6 million today. Pause for a moment and imagine this .1 coin, smaller than your palm, worth more than most homes. That disbelief you feel right now is exactly why these coins remain hidden. People assume valuable coins must look old, dirty, or ancient, but the most dangerous treasures are the ones that look ordinary. And that brings us to the turning point. Let's get very clear, because this is where confusion costs people money. Not every 1998 D Washington quarter is worth millions, but the ones that are in a league of their own. The D Mint mark means it was struck in Denver. That alone is not rare. But certain Denver strikes from 1998 show extraordinary precision and unusual die characteristics that were never repeated. And this is where fear kicks in, because condition is everything. A quarter that looks slightly worn can drop from life-changing money to a few dollars instantly. $1 million examples are typically in pristine, almost untouched condition, sharp details, strong lustered, no circulation wear. Collectors call this the difference between surviving and thriving. Third, rarity within rarity. Only a tiny number of these quarters meet all the criteria at once. Think of it like winning 3 lotteries with 1 ticket. And here's the kicker. Many of these coins were never intentionally saved. They were pulled from circulation by chance. Someone noticed it looked different. Someone tossed it in a drawer. Someone forgot about it for decades. Which raises a dangerous question. How many people spent one without ever knowing? Quick pause. If that thought made you uneasy, good. That means you are paying attention. Right now, elite examples of the 1998 D Washington quarter have reached $1.6 million in private sales and high-end auctions. That number didn't appear overnight. It climbed. Because serious collectors understand something most people don't. Coins are not just metal. They are portable wealth. In uncertain times, wealthy individuals move money into tangible assets. Real estate, art, rare coins. And when demand rises but supply stays frozen, prices explode. That is exactly what happened here. There will never be more 1998 D quarters made. There will only be fewer surviving in top condition, which means waiting does not make this cheaper. It makes it more expensive. Let me ask you something slightly uncomfortable. If you own one of these coins and didn't know it, would you want to find out today or 5 years from now when prices are even higher? This is where hope replaces fear. Because the people who found these coins were not experts. They were retirees, former factory workers, people cleaning out basements, families settling estates. One man discovered a rare quarter while sorting coins with his grandson that he thought it was just shinier than normal. That curiosity paid for a lifestyle he never imagined. Another family nearly donated a collection to charity before getting it checked. That single decision changed their financial future. This is not luck. This is awareness. And awareness is something you can act on today. But before we move on, quick reality check. If you are thinking, I'll look later, Remember this. Later is how opportunities quietly disappear. Now we transition from story to strategy. Here is exactly what you should do if you suspect you may have valuable quarters or other rare US coins. Step 1. Stop cleaning coins. Cleaning destroys value faster than anything else. If you remember one thing from this video, remember that. Step 2. Separate your quarters by year and mint mark. Look carefully for 1998 and the D mint mark. Use proper lighting. Take your time. This is not a race. It is a discovery. Step 3. Get professional verification. Only certified grading services can confirm authenticity and condition. Do not rely on guesses. Do not rely on online comments. This is serious money. Step 4. Understand timing. The coin market moves in cycles. Selling at the right moment can mean the difference between comfort and extraordinary wealth. And here is a cliffhanger most people miss. Quarters are not the only coins exploding in value. Pennies, dimes, nickels, entire collections are being rediscovered right now. Which means this quarter could be just the beginning. Let's end where we began. Somewhere in America, a 1998 D Washington quarter worth $1.6 million is sitting quietly. It does not sparkle. It does not announce itself. It waits for someone who knows what to look for. That someone could be you. And here's a final question I want you to sit with. If your past self unknowingly saved something that could change your future, wouldn't you want to honor that moment by taking action today? Look at your coins, respect their potential, and never underestimate the power of what seems ordinary. Because sometimes, wealth isn't earned, it's discovered. If you want more videos revealing hidden coin values, rare US coins, and real strategies for turning old change into financial freedom, stay with this channel. Imagine holding a single quarter in your hand. 25 cents. The same coin you toss into a cup holder. The same coin you barely notice at the grocery store. The same coin your kids leave on the table like it means nothing. Now imagine that quarter being worth $1.7 million. Not in theory. Not someday. Right now. And what if I told you that this exact coin may already be inside your home, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize it? Pause for a second. What would your life look like if one ordinary moment turned into financial freedom? No boss, no alarm clocks, no worrying about bills. Just one coin, one discovery, one decision. Today, we are uncovering the shocking truth behind the 2006 D Mint Mark South Dakota $quarter coin, a modern U.S. coin that has stunned collectors and rewritten what people believe is possible in pocket change. And here's the part that should make your heart beat faster. Most people who own this coin already spin it. Do not let that be you. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for, why this quarter is different, and how one tiny detail can mean the difference between spare change and generational wealth. And yes, we are also talking about how these coins are being sold for millions of dollars today. But first, let me ask you something. The United States Mint released the South Dakota State Quarter as part of the famous 50 State Quarters program. Millions were produced. Most were ordinary, but a very small number were not. These coins were struck at the Denver Mint, identified by a small D mint mark just below Washington's. Ribboned at first glance, they look normal. That's the danger. Because the most valuable coins in American history do not announce themselves. They whisper. Now here is where things get serious. A tiny group of 2006 D South Dakota quarters were struck with extreme minting anomalies. Errors so rare that professional collectors missed them for years. That we are talking about combinations of errors that almost never happen together. Dime misalignment, extraordinary doubling. Off-metal strikes, transitional, planchet anomalies. This is not your average error coin. This is the kind of mistake that should not exist. And yet, it does. One confirmed example shocked the numismatic world when it crossed the private market with an estimated valuation of $1.7 million. A modern quarter. Not gold, not ancient, not colonial. A coin you could still find in circulation. If someone offered you a lottery ticket with odds better than 1 in a million, would you throw it away? Because that is exactly what millions of Americans did with this quarter, and some are still doing it today. Let's talk about how to spot one. But before we do, a quick reminder, if this sounds unbelievable, that's normal. Every major discovery in coin collecting sounded unbelievable until it was real. Here is what separates a life-changing quarter from a common one. First, the mint mark. You are only looking for 2006 D. NOD. No jackpot. Second, inspect the design details on the reverse side. Pay close attention to Mount Rushmore. On ultra valuable specimens, the inscriptions show irregular thickness, ghosted impressions, or doubled edges that appear almost like shadows. This is not wear. This is mint error doubling. Third, examine the rim and strike alignment. Some of these quarters were struck slightly off-center, yet still within tolerance, making them visually subtle but professionally explosive in value. Fourth, weight matters. Coins struck on incorrect or transitional planchets will feel different. Collectors who found these coins often said the same thing. Something felt off, and that feeling changed their lives. Now here's the funny part. Most people assume valuable coins must look ugly or damaged. Some of the most valuable coins look nearly perfect, which means your best chance is sitting untouched in a drawer somewhere, quietly waiting. And yes, before you ask, cleaning the coin destroys value. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not rub it like a genie lamp. This is not Aladdin. This is real money. Now let's raise the stakes, because the market for this coin is not slowing down. The current market value of confirmed ultra-rare 2006 South Dakota quarter-error coins has reached $1.7 million in private collector transactions. And here's why that matters. There are fewer verified examples than people think. Collectors are competing. Museums want them. High-net-worth buyers want bragging rights. And every year, fewer remain undiscovered. This is where fear meets opportunity. Fear of missing out. Fear of spending a fortune by accident. Fear of realizing too late that you already had the answer. History shows us this truth again and again. The people who win are not always the smartest. They are the most aware. And awareness starts with education. Before this video ends, promise yourself one thing. You will check your change tonight. You will check your coin jars. You will check that old drawer everyone forgets about. Because once this information becomes common knowledge, the window closes. Collectors already know. Dealers are hunting. And the market does not wait for anyone. This is not hype. This is how fortunes are made quietly. Point one coin, point one moment, point one decision. And the question is no longer whether this quarter exists. The question is whether you will be the one who finds it. Stay curious, stay alert, and remember, sometimes wealth does not shout. Sometimes it jingles. That if you want more rare US coin secrets, real market values, and hidden opportunities most people never see, make sure you stay connected. Imagine this for a moment. You reach into your pocket. You pull out a single quarter, the same coin you have ignored your entire life, and suddenly you realize it could be worth more than most homes in America. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear may completely change how you look at loose change forever. Today we are uncovering the true story behind the 1995 Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. A coin that most people have spent without a second thought. A coin that has quietly crossed the $1.8 million mark in the collector market. And here is the most dangerous part. Many of these coins are still out there. Before you dismiss this, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually looked at a quarter before spending it? Exactly. This is not just a coin story. This is a warning that wealth sometimes hides in plain sight. In this video, you will learn why this specific quarter matters, how collectors identify the ultra-valuable versions, and why waiting even one more year to check your coins could cost you a fortune. And yes, by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for. But first, let me take you back to 1995. America was changing. The economy was growing. The US Mint was producing millions of coins at record speed. And that is exactly where the problem began. High-speed production creates mistakes. Rare mistakes point million-dollar mistakes. And that is where our story truly begins. Because the most valuable 1995 quarter does not look special at first glance. In fact, it looks ordinary. And that is what makes it so dangerous. Let us talk about the Mint Mark. The P stands for Philadelphia, the largest mint facility in the United States. The same facility responsible for producing billions of coins every year. In 1995, Washington quarters were struck in massive quantities. Most are worth face value today, but a microscopic group of them are different. And here is where collectors lean in. During this period, the mint was transitioning equipment, dies, and quality control processes. Some dies were overused, some were improperly prepared, some should never have struck another coin, yet they did. The result was a small number of quarters with extreme characteristics that only advanced collectors recognized at first. And this is where excitement turns into urgency, because these characteristics are still being discovered. Now let me ask you something. Would you recognize a $1 million coin if it was sitting on your desk right now? Most people would not. And that is not an insult. That is reality. First, strike quality. These rare examples show unusually sharp details on Washington's hair, cheekbone, and jawline. The eagle on the reverse appears almost sculpted instead of flat. Second, metal flow anomalies. Some of these quarters display extraordinary die stress lines and raised textures that are not damage, not wear, and not post-mint errors. Third, die state rarity that a handful of coins were struck at a precise moment when dies were failing but not yet retired. That window was incredibly short. Collectors call this the perfect failure. And this is where fear comes in, because these coins were released into circulation. They were not set aside. They were not sold as special issues. They were spent at gas stations, at grocery stores, at vending machines. Point one may have passed through your hands. Now let me interrupt this intensity with a simple thought that if quarters could talk, how many would scream, "Do not spend me in"? Yet, millions did. Here is where the market steps in at top condition levels, with verified die characteristics. One known specimen crossed $1.8 million in private transaction valuation, and when the next example appears, it could go even higher. Why? Because wealthy collectors are no longer chasing just old coins. They are chasing stories. And this coin tells a powerful one. But here is the twist most people never see coming. Condition alone is not enough, and one small mistake could destroy the value instantly. This is where everything comes together. You now know the coin exists. You know why it exists. You know how rare it truly is. Now comes the most important part. What you do next. If you find a 1995 Washington quarter, never clean it. Never polish it. Never test it with chemicals or tools. Cleaning a coin can turn a $1 million treasure into a 50-cent disappointment in seconds. Instead, examine it under proper lighting. Look for sharpness, texture, and unusual surface characteristics. Compare it with normal examples. And if something feels different, trust that instinct. This is where wealthy collectors separate themselves from everyone else. They pause. They verify. They protect. They submit coins to professional grading services that authenticate die states, strike quality, and originality. And here is the urgency. Every year, fewer of these coins remain untouched. Every year, more are damaged, spent, or lost. The window is closing. Now let me be very clear, not every 1995 quarter is worth millions, but every $1 million example started as an ordinary quarter. That is the difference. Wealth does not announce itself. It whispers, and the people who listen change their lives. Before you move on with your day, ask yourself this. What if the next quarter you ignore is the one that could fund your retirement, your freedom, your legacy, because someone out there already found theirs? And tonight, it could be your turn. In the next video, I will reveal the one visual detail most people overlook that separates a normal quarter from a life-changing one. Imagine this for a moment. A single quarter, 25 cents, sitting quietly in a drawer in a coffee can in an old wallet you forgot about years ago. Now imagine discovering that this ordinary-looking coin could be worth $1.9 million today. Not someday. Not in theory. Right now. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you may realize that the most valuable thing you own is not your house, your car, or your retirement account. It might be a quarter you have ignored for decades. Welcome back to the channel where hidden money meets smart collectors and where everyday Americans discover how rare coins quietly build wealthy lifestyles. If you are between 30 and 70 years old and you have ever held on to old change thinking maybe one day it might be worth something, today's story was made for you. And fair warning, once you hear this, you will never look at your pocket change the same way again. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Millions of Americans unknowingly spend rare coins every single year. Coins worth more than cars, more than homes, more than a lifetime of savings. And the 1988 Washington quarter sits near the top of that list. Quick question before we continue. When was the last time you checked your quarters closely, not glanced, but truly inspected one? If your answer is never, that is exactly why this story matters. Because the most dangerous thing in coin collecting is not lack of money. It is lack of knowledge. And today, knowledge could change your financial future. Let me take you back to 1988. The Cold War was still echoing across the world. Gas was cheap, televisions were boxy, and the United States Mint in Philadelphia was striking millions of Washington quarters without anyone realizing a historic mistake was quietly unfolding at first glance. The 1988 P quarter looks ordinary. George Washington's familiar face, the eagle on the reverse, nothing flashy. And that is precisely what makes it so dangerous to ignore. Because hidden inside a very small number of these coins is a flaw so rare, so valuable, that collectors today are willing to pay up to $1.9 million for the right example. And in a moment, I will explain exactly why. But first, let me tell you a quick story. Years ago, a retired factory worker in the Midwest decided to finally clean out an old dresser drawer. Inside was loose change from decades of work lunches and road trips. Nothing special, he thought, until one quarter caught his EYE.IT was worn. Used. But something felt different. That coin would later change his life. And if you are thinking, that could never happen to me, stay right where you are. Because statistically, if you were alive in 1988, you have touched this coin. Now let us get into the heart of what makes the 1988 P Washington quarter so extraordinary. First, the mint mark. The P stands for Philadelphia. And normally, Philadelphia quarters from this era are common. But in 1988, a small number of quarters were struck under conditions that created extreme minting anomalies. These are not casual errors. These are elite-level rarities. The most valuable examples fall into three categories. The first is the double die obverse. This means parts of Washington's portrait, the lettering, or the date were struck twice slightly out of alignment. To the naked eye, it can look like shadowing or thickness. Under magnification, it becomes unmistakable. Collectors chase these coins aggressively. The second category is off. Metal strikes. In rare cases, 1988 quarters were struck on incorrect planchets. Some were struck on foreign coin metal, others on experimental blanks. When authenticated, these coins explode in value. And the third category is the one that causes seasoned collectors to hold their breath. Proof-like strikes from circulation dies. These quarters appear mirror-like, almost proof quality. Despite being struck for circulation, they were never supposed to exist, and when they do, the market reacts violently. Here is where urgency comes in. The market for rare error quarters has tightened dramatically in recent years because baby boomers are downsizing, heirs are discovering collections, and wealthy collectors are racing to secure museum-grade pieces. When a verified 1988 P quarter with the right characteristics hits the market, bidding wars erupt, prices escalate quickly, and opportunities vanish just as fast. Now let me ask you something important. If you had a quarter worth over $1 million, would you want to find out today, or would you rather accidentally spend it tomorrow on a cup of coffee? That uncomfortable silence you just felt, that is fear. And fear can be powerful when it pushes us to act. Here is a quick pattern interrupt. Think about this. The vending machine has probably eaten more money from Americans than most scams. And yet, a vending machine might also be the reason $1 million quarter disappears forever. Strange world, isn't it now? Let us talk current market value.as of today. Elite examples of the 1988 P Washington quarter with verified mint errors have sold or been valued up to $1.9 million. Not hopeful estimates, not internet rumors, certified, authenticated, recorded. But here is the catch. Condition matters, authentication matters, and knowing what you have matters most of all. Too many people rush to sell without understanding what they hold. Others clean coins, destroying value instantly. Never clean a coin, ever. That single mistake has erased fortunes.in. The next section, I will explain exactly how to identify whether your 1988 quarter deserves serious attention. But first, a cliffhanger you need to hear. Point one of the rarest 1988 P quarters ever found came from loose change at a grocery store. And the person who found it almost gave it away. Now let us slow down and get practical. If you want to know whether your 1988 P Washington quarter could be life-changing, here is what to do. First, check the date and mint mark carefully. Look for 1988. Then look for the P mint mark beneath Washington's ponytail. Second, examine the lettering. Look at Liberty. Look at I In God We Trust. Look at the date, DOUC, doubling thickness showing even slight anomalies matter. Third, inspect the surface. Does the coin have an unusually mirror-like finish? Does it feel sharper than normal circulation quarters? Fourth, weigh the coin. Error planchets often weigh differently. If anything feels off, stop immediately. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not list it online casually. This is where authority matters. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are essential. Authentication turns curiosity into proof, and proof turns change into wealth. Here is another uncomfortable truth. Many people sit on rare coins for years out of fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of embarrassment, fear of disappointment. But fear cuts both ways. The fear of missing out is real. And every year you wait, the market shifts, collectors age, supply tightens, prices move, opportunities do. Not wait for comfort. Now let me leave you with an image. Picture yourself holding a small slab of plastic. Inside is a quarter. But that quarter represents freedom. Choices. Security. It represents the reward for paying attention when others did not. That is how wealth is built quietly. Not through luck. Through awareness. If this video made you curious, that is a sign. If it made you uncomfortable, that is a signal. If it made you excited, that is momentum. Check your change tonight. Check your old jars. Check the coins you inherited and never bothered to examine. Because history has already proven something powerful. Life-changing money does not always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it comes disguised as 25 cents, and the next $1.9 million quarter could be waiting for you. If you found value in this video, stay connected. More hidden coin stories are coming. More secrets, more opportunities. And remember, the wealthiest collectors are not the luckiest. Imagine this. You are standing in line at a grocery store somewhere in America. You reach into your pocket. Your fingers brush against loose change. A single quarter slides into your hand. You do not feel rich. You do not feel lucky. You feel normal. But what if that ordinary-looking quarter was quietly carrying the power to change your financial future forever? Today we are talking about the 2000p mint mark South Carolina quarter. A coin most people have spent without a second thought. A coin that may still be hiding in drawers, jars, and old collections across the United States. And under very specific conditions, a coin that has reached reported valuations as high as $1 million. Before you laugh and say that sounds impossible, let me ask you a simple question. How many quarters have you spent in your lifetime without ever really looking at them? Exactly. This is the moment where fear and excitement collide. Fear that you may have already spent something life-changing. Excitement that you might still have one sitting quietly nearby. And right now, you and I are going to slow down and look closer. Because the wealthy do not rush past opportunity. They recognize it. Transition now. To understand why this particular quarter matters so much, we need to go back to the year 2000. A year that quietly reshaped American coin collecting. Cliffhanger in what the U.S. Mint did that year created a perfect storm that collectors are still chasing today. The year 2000 was not just another year. It marked the launch of the State Quarters program, one of the most successful coin programs in American history. Millions of Americans suddenly started checking their change. Kids were collecting. Parents were saving. Grandparents were paying attention again. South Carolina was one of the early releases. The design looked simple. Palmetto tree, state outline, star details, clean bold lettering. Nothing about it screamed $1 million. And that is exactly why it became dangerous to overlook. Here is the truth that most people never hear. Value is not created by beauty alone. Value is created by rarity, condition, timing, and mistakes. And the 2000p South Carolina quarter had all four factors collide. Now let me pause for a second. If you are thinking all quarters were made in the millions, so none of them can be rare. You are thinking like the average spender. Collectors think differently. They ask one question. How many survived in perfect or nearly perfect condition with specific characteristics? That number drops fast. Humorous pattern interrupt. Think of it this way. Millions of people are born every year too. Yet how many become billionaires? Exactly. Transition now. Let us talk about the characteristics that separate a face value quarter from a headline, making one. Cliffhanger because one tiny detail can mean the difference between 25 cents and generational wealth. This coin must have the P mint mark for Philadelphia, and OP means it was struck elsewhere, and that changes everything. Next, the condition that we are not talking about a quarter that rode around in your car cup holder for 10 years, that we are talking about pristine surfaces, sharp edges, full details, minimal contact marks that in high mint state grades. The population shrinks dramatically, but here is where things get truly interesting. Certain examples of the 2000p South Carolina quarter show rare striking anomalies. Off-center strikes, die clashes, weak strikes combined with unusual surface textures. These are not flaws to collectors. They are fingerprints of rarity. And when one of these coins is authenticated, graded, and confirmed as an elite example, bidding wars can erupt. This is where the $1 million figure enters the conversation. Not because every coin is worth that, but because the right coin in the right condition at the right moment becomes priceless to the right buyer. Fear trigger. The fear is realizing that many people never even check. They spend history without knowing it. That transition. So, now that you know why the coin matters, the next question becomes urgent. Where could one still be hiding? Cliffhanger, and the answer may surprise you. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most valuable coins in America were not found in vaults. They were found in old coffee cans, sock drawers, inherited collections no one wanted to clean out. South Carolina quarters from 2000 were widely circulated. That means some high-quality examples were pulled early and quietly saved. Others sat untouched for years. That if you or someone you know lived through the early 2000s and casually saved state quarters, you already have reason to look closer. Urgency trigger, because every year that passes, fewer high-grade examples remain undiscovered. Coins are lost. Coins are damaged. Coins are spent. Time is the enemy of rarity. Now let me be very clear and very responsible. Not every 2000p South Carolina quarter is worth millions, but every $1 million coin once looked just like an ordinary one. That is the mindset shift. Humorous pattern interrupt. Nobody wakes up and labels their pocket change as future wealth. If they did, we would all be rich already. If you believe you may have a special example, do not rush to sell it at a local shop for a quick offer. Wealthy decisions are patient decisions. Professional grading is critical. Authentication is non-negotiable. Documentation creates leverage. The people who sell life-changing coins do not chase fast money. They create competition among buyers. And this is where your lifestyle vision matters. This channel is not about fantasy. It is about preparation. Preparation to recognize value. Preparation to protect it. Preparation to use it to change your life. Cliffhanger, because the real secret is not finding a rare coin. The real secret is knowing what to do next. Right now, somewhere in America, a person is unknowingly carrying a quarter that could rewrite their financial story. It might be in a drawer. It might be in a collection. It might already belong to you. Fear says ignore it. Excitement says check it. Urgency says do it now. If you want to live a wealthier life, you must train yourself to see opportunity where others see nothing. Start with your change. Start with your history. Start with the 2000p South Carolina quarter, and remember this: fortunes are not always found. Sometimes they are simply noticed. Stay curious, stay patient, and never underestimate what ordinary things can become in the hands of someone who knows their worth. Imagine this: a single quarter, not gold, not ancient, not buried in a treasure chest. Just a regular-looking U.S. quarter that once passed through a grocery store cash register. Now imagine that quarter being worth $1.1 million today. Before you laugh and say no way, let me ask you something. Most people don't. They spend it. They lose it in couch cushions. They leave it in their car cup holder like it means nothing. And that exact habit is why some people stay broke, while others quietly become wealthy. Because hidden among ordinary coins is an extraordinary exception. And today, we are talking about one of the most overlooked million-dollar coins in American history. The 2003p mint mark Maine quarter-dollar coin. A coin that many Americans own. A coin millions still overlook. And a coin that has shocked collectors with a current market valuation reaching $1.1 million. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at loose change the same way again. And here's the cliffhanger you need to hear right now. Most people who own this coin already spent it. Gas was cheap, cell phones flipped open, and the U.S. Mint released a quarter that almost nobody paid attention to. The Maine state quartered IT featured the iconic Pemaquid Point lighthouse, a sailing ship, and the inscription Dirigo, meaning I lead. That is exactly why this story is dangerous. Because wealth rarely announces itself loudly. The 2003 P Main Quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, producing hundreds of millions of coins, and that is where the first mistake happens. People assume rarity only comes from low mintages. But in numismatics, rarity is not just about how many were made. It is about how many survived in the right condition, with the right characteristics, at the right time. And this coin failed quietly, failed in quality control, failed in consistency, failed in ways that created extreme value decades later. Collectors later discovered a tiny percentage of these coins were struck with exceptional mint errors, ultra-high grade surfaces, and rare die characteristics that were never supposed to exist. Coins that slipped through unnoticed. Coins that sat in jars, drawers, and piggy banks for years. Coins that today are nearly impossible to find. And that scarcity has ignited a fire in the collector market. But hold on, we are just getting started. Let me tell you about the moment everything changed. A collector sent a pristine 2003 P Main Quarter for professional grading. No expectations, no hype. Just curiosity. When the results came back, the grading shocked everyone. Perfect strike, flawless surfaces, rare die alignment, mint state condition beyond what was believed possible for this issue. Collectors whispered, dealers paid attention, auction houses leaned forward. Then came the sale. The hammer dropped. Over $1 million. That was the moment fear entered the market. Fear of missing out. Fear of having already spent a fortune. Fear of never finding another one. And that fear is still driving prices today. Now let's slow down and get practical. Because excitement without knowledge leads nowhere. If you want to play this game, you must learn how to identify what separates a normal quarter from a life-changing one. First, the mint mark. You are looking for the P mint mark, located on the obverse near Washington's ponytail. No million dollars. Second, the condition. This is where most coins fail. The million-dollar examples show razor-sharp details on Washington's hair, a full lighthouse outline, crisp sails on the ship, and absolutely no where. If your coin has been in circulation, chances are it is not the one. But here's the twist. Some coins were pulled from circulation early and stored away. This is where hope enters the room. Third, the strike quality. Many high-value main quarters display unusually strong strikes due to fresh dies. This creates deeper details and mirrored surfaces that grading companies obsess over. Fourth, the errors. This is where things get wild. Collectors pay insane premiums for examples, showing off center strikes, double die elements, die cracks, or unusual planchet errors. These mistakes turn common coins into legends. And now the cliffhanger. Some of these errors are invisible to the untrained eye, which means you could own one and not even realize it. Let me pause for a moment and reset your attention. Have you ever noticed how the richest people obsess over details everyone else ignores? That's not coincidence. Coin collecting rewards patience, education, and emotional control. Most people chase fast money. Collectors build quiet wealth. While others gamble, collectors verify. While others rush, collectors wait. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Every year you delay learning this, coins disappear into melting pots, overseas sales, and private collections. Once gone, they are gone forever. That is why urgency matters, because the supply of top-tier main quarters is shrinking, not growing. It is exploding as new collectors enter the market chasing proven winners. As of the current market cycle, elite examples of the 2003 P main quarter have reached $1.1 million in private and public sales, not asking prices. Completed transactions. Lower grade error examples still sell for tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Even mid-level certified examples have climbed steadily. Because serious collectors are shifting away from speculative assets and moving into tangible, portable wealth. Coins do not crash overnight. They do not disappear in a market panic. And they do not depend on technology. A coin fits in your hand and can change your life. Now let me ask a question to wake you up. If you had a chance to buy $1 million asset for 25 cents, would you ignore it? Most people already did. This is where the story becomes personal. Right now, there are two types of viewers watching this video. The first will say interesting, then scroll away. The second will pause, reflect, and take action. Point one stays entertained. The other changes their financial trajectory. If you believe you may own a 2003 P main quarter, Your next steps matter. Do not clean it. Do not sell it or AW. Do not take advice from random online comments. Get it authenticated. Get it graded. Protect it. Because once a coin is certified, it enters a completely different financial universe. Auction houses take notice. High-end buyers engage. Serious money enters the room. And that is when opportunities appear. Here is the warning no one likes to hear. The window does not stay open forever. As elite examples disappear into long-term collections, prices rise, but availability drops, meaning fewer chances for ordinary people to participate. But here is the hope. Coins do not announce themselves. They wait patiently for the right owner. And sometimes, the right owner is someone watching a video like this at exactly the right moment. So tonight, before you sleep, look at your change. Look at your drawers. Look at the coins you inherited and forgot about. Because history has proven one thing again and again. Life-changing wealth often hides in ordinary places. And the next million-dollar coin discovery could belong to you. That if you found this valuable, stay connected. Because this channel reveals the secrets most people never learn until it's too late. And remember, the difference between regret and wealth is action. The coin is already out there.